Hi, Yambo. Nice to see you've sent us more essays. Let's take a look and see what you wrote here. Fast food. Let's see what you wrote. As westernization and globalization take hold, fast food has gained immense popularity, often pushing aside traditional local cuisine. This trend, however, comes at a cost to individuals, families, and society as a whole, especially when it comes to personal health and overall health costs. This essay will substantiate this argument with data from the WHO and Taiwan's research reports. Lovely. Lovely, lovely. No comments about it. You used a rather sophisticated way of expressing your position. You just expressed it as fact, and I was okay with that. I don't mind it. It shows a little, as I said, sophistication. I'm fine with it. It's nice. Fast food, such as French fries, chicken nuggets, and fried chicken, often contains good excessive calories, carbohydrates, and imbalanced nutrition, while vegetables are often neglected. In contrast, traditional cultures typically have more balanced cuisines, such as the Mediterranean diet. Consistent consumption of fast food may lead to individual obesity over time, leading to hypertension, diabetes, and hyperlipidemia, which can negatively affect quality of life. According to WHO, 1/5 of the global population was obese in 2020, with fast food culture responsible for 45% of the overweight population. Thus, swapping traditional food with fast food only escalates the risk of obesity, adding to physical burdens. Okay, I disagree with the use of this word here, overweight, because overweight is not a noun like obesity is. You could have said of becoming overweight or obesity, but then I still don't really like that because then you have this phrase here, becoming overweight, and then just a noun. So I don't really like it. When you're going to use this type of structure, make sure they're typically in the same form. So I would have been okay with something else like only escalates the risk of obesity and its health related issues. Okay, that would have been okay, something like that. I like this. I have a concern. I'll tell you what the concern is. I want to keep reading. I want to see what you write in your next paragraph before I make any sort of judgments. Okay, so let's continue and then I'll tell you. Fast food culture is also responsible for the rise in chronic diseases like diabetes, kidney failure, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol. This has led to a significant increase in healthcare costs worldwide, with capitalist countries like the United States placing a financial burden on individuals or insurance companies. On the other hand, in countries with national health insurance systems, it becomes a burden on all taxpayers. Taiwan, with its renowned national health insurance system, has seen medical expenses for chronic diseases like kidney failure rise by 3% per year since 2010. In 2020, the expenditure on kidney dialysis patients alone surpassed $1.7 billion. This increasing medical I can't speak today, sorry. The increasing medical expenses and declining healthy population will lead to a weakened national workforce. Okay. In conclusion, the replacement of traditional food by fast food culture has grave implications for personal health, quality of life, and health care expenditure. It also reduces the healthy workforce, affecting national strength. Governments worldwide must act proactively to address this issue to avoid such adverse effects. I can't even read today. I'm sorry. Governments worldwide must act proactively to address this issue to avoid such adverse impacts on individuals and society. Okay, so let's talk about the good news. The good news is that you've used some really beautiful language, really high level grammar, really high level vocabulary. I love this. Most must act proactively. That was great. Grave implications. That's a nice collocation there. Really nice. Let's see. Surpass is a great word. A burden on all taxpayers is wonderful. So a lot of really nice language, vocabulary, all that's really well done. Now let's talk about what I think the weakness in this essay is. Oh, and by the way, you also supported a lot, and so it was nice. It was well developed. Here's the weakness: families, individuals, and society. So you made it fairly clear here that you were talking about individuals. I mean, fairly clear. You didn't really come out and say it straight, like completely straight, but it was still implied because you said individual obesity. which I didn't really love, by the way, as an expression. But I understood that you were trying to show us that, you're talking about individuals here. Um, let's see. You could have done it a little differently. Let's think of how you could have done that. Consistent consumption of fast food may lead individuals to become obese over time, leading to hypertension, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Or may negatively affect individual quality of life. That too would have been okay. All right. So here you're talking about obesity and the health issues related to that. So, okay, like I said, you could have made it a little more obvious that you're talking about the individual here. I would have liked that. Then here you were essentially talking about society. Again, I really would have appreciated you making it a little more straightforward. So, this has led to a significant increase in healthcare costs worldwide, affecting uh, citizens around the globe and their societies, or affecting societies around the world. Okay. So, again, you did it in a nice way. I really liked it, but I really would have liked it just to be a little more kind of obvious. Okay. Just so that the examiner doesn't have to look for which part of the essay you're talking about. You really want to kind of make it clear with nice signposting. So let me tell you what the problem is. You were also supposed to talk about families. So how does this affect families specifically? Um, yeah, so what is the impact? How does it negatively affect families? Can you think of anything? And if you can, which paragraph can you put it in? Okay. So that for me was lacking. They have here all three. They don't say families, individuals, or society. They say all three. You see that and here, which means they really want you to talk about all three levels of, a level of levels of society. So society on the whole, and then of course on the individual and family level. So I could give you a couple of suggestions on how I think you could do this. One way to do it for me, which really works, is, in other words, okay, talk about individuals and then talk about how this individual problem also affects society. And then here, talk about families and then talk about it again more broadly in how it affects society. So that's a really good way to do it. And this way you cover all three. So for me, how does this affect societies? I'm sorry, how does this affect families? What would I say? I probably would have said that, you know, a couple of things happen. First of all, when we cook traditional meals at home, many times families do this together as a joint activity. And so it's a wonderful opportunity for bonding. When this is lost, or as it is lost more and more, some of this bonding is lost, as well as some recipes, which are typically passed down from generation to generation. And so these family bonds, these family traditions are lost. And then what that results in for society is a loss of, number one, close family relationships, and then number two, food culture. Like these traditions that we have, that are passed down from generation to generation, they are lost when when these foods and this activity is substituted by fast food that you can just get around the corner. So that's what I would have talked about. That's one way I think is an effective way of organizing it when you believe that fast food negatively affects these three. So that's a good way of organizing it. You talked about where was it? No, it was in the other paragraph. Here you talked about the diseases that are caused. And then here again, you talked about, again, diseases. So that felt a little repetitive to me. All right. So this is why I think what you could have done is you could have probably joined these paragraphs together. Understand? So you could have talked about how individual health is affected, and then you could have talked about what this means for the healthcare systems of countries around the world. You could have done all of that in one paragraph. So that's what I would have done. And then I also would have included a paragraph about what I said about families. So this is my suggestion here, just to help you with task achievement. But the writing is really strong, and so I'm very happy about that. Okay. Let's continue with your letter to your friend. Dear John, I'm writing to apologize for not being able to meet you as planned. I was supposed to stay in Chicago for 5 days, attending a medical conference for 3 days, and mm, I would have said meet because I was supposed to do this and meet. Okay. Attending a medical conference for 3 days and I guess meeting up, attending and meeting. Yeah, all right, it's fine. It felt a little strange to me when I first read it, but I think it makes sense. I was supposed to stay in Chicago for 5 days, attending a medical conference for 3 days, and meeting up with you on the fourth day. Fine. However, one of my customers unexpectedly placed a large order, and my boss asked me to return to the office immediately after the conference to handle the issue and report it to my team members. Okay, I am sorry for any inconvenience this may have caused you, as I know you had made reservations at a famous restaurant and arranged some activities for us during my stay. I was also looking forward to seeing you. Next time you come to New York, please let me know. I can arrange a restaurant and activities as a compensation, or I can plan to visit Chicago again during the second weekend of next month. We can meet up then. Please let me know which option is more convenient with you. Stay in touch. Okay. Fine. So, yes, you did this. Yes, you did this. Yes, you did this. You did apologize. You said, I'm writing to apologize. Fine. Then you said, and then suggest how you can meet. Let's see. Did you use language of suggestion? I can do this. Fine. I can arrange, or we can meet up. That's fine. Okay. I wanted to make sure that you were using the language of suggestion. Because that's what they're testing here. They're testing this functional language. You see, they want to know that you know the language of apologies, and they want to know that you know the language of suggestion. So perhaps we could do this. Maybe we can do that. You used can, which does show some suggestion. I would have liked to see maybe an additional example of suggestion language. Okay. I can, you could have said here, or maybe I can visit Chicago again. Okay, perhaps we can meet up then. So you could have done that. You could have just varied it up a little bit rather than using can. Okay, so that's the first thing, using this language here. So you have to really make sure that you focus on what what they say here. Like, what are they asking for when they say suggest? What are they asking for when they say apologize? Now, let's talk about apologize. Okay, good. This is what I wanted to see. You said that you apologized here, and then here you said, I'm sorry. So that's fine. I wanted to make sure that you used more than just this. Okay. Because it's an entire bullet. So you should focus some time on it. Now let's talk about what I think could have been done a little better. The instructions say that this is an informal apology. And I felt like some of this used some conventions of formal letter writing. So you're writing to a friend, and I felt that this was overly formal. I am writing to apologize for not being able to meet you as planned. That was a really formal sentence. Like, that's how we would write to our manager or maybe a business colleague with whom we're supposed to have a meeting. It's not how we really talk to our friends. So I would have liked friendlier language. For example, Dear John, I wanted to tell you how sorry I am that we weren't able to meet last month. Okay? That would have been better. I wanted to let you know how sorry I am. Also, don't forget that when we write our friends, we usually start off with how are you? Or hey, I'm sorry we haven't talked um, since my trip to Chicago. Okay, something like that. So you want to make the tone a little friendlier because it felt to me a little too formal. And you have to remember that the IELTS examiner will be checking to see that your tone, okay, usually we call this the register, that the register is appropriate throughout. So here I felt like you had a lapse. Here I felt like you had a problem with the register. It was a little too formal. Okay? So again, Dear John, how are you? I'm sorry I haven't been able to write you since my trip to Chicago last month. It's been crazy. However, I really wanted to tell you how sorry I was that I wasn't able to meet you as planned. Okay? That's how we do this. Then, this too was really very formal. I am sorry for any inconvenience this may have caused you. It's just not how we talk to friends. It's formal language. Okay. I would never tell my friends this. I would say, look, I'm really sorry. I know it was an inconvenience. I feel terrible. Okay. So you want, when you're writing these informal letters, to write more like the way we speak to our friends. All right. That's what you want to be doing here. Um, let's see. What did you say? I'm sorry for any inconveniences may have caused you. I really feel terrible. I'm sure it must have been a great, I'm sure it must have been a real inconvenience for you. Even that would have been okay. All right. Just showing a little more warmth. The rest of it is great. I think you did a great job. I don't love this. Okay. One thing I would have really liked is maybe like one last time to say, again, I really am sorry for everything that happened, but I promise I'll make it up to you. And then, your friend, something like that. So just like a nice little closing before your salutation. All right. Also, in the salutation, I would have preferred, like in the closing comment, I would have preferred maybe something like your friend, or I mean, I guess stay in touch is fine. I guess it's fine. It's fine. Okay. So that's it, Yambo. All right. I hope you can apply some of the suggestions in this essay. Really try to apply them to your next set of writing and in following writings that you'll have. And I'll be looking forward to them. Okay. So good luck.